Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Heroux. I'm here as an organizer of the 2021 Collegeville Workshop on Scientific Software with a special theme this year of software teams. I'm here talking with Carina Haupt, who is from GLR, which in English translates to the German Aerospace Center. She is a team lead in the software organization of DLR, and has had a lot of experience working with scientific software and scientific software teams, and is a perfect representative in this area for conversations for the Collegeville Workshop. So Carina, thank you very much for joining us this year. It's a real privilege to have you spend some time with us. I thought maybe to get started, you could describe a bit about who you are, your background, and your experience with software teams.
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here and be allowed to speak to you and all the people who will perhaps listen to this. As you already said, I'm head of a sustainable software engineering group, as well as deputy head of a department for intelligent and distributed systems. And my background is in computer science. So I quite typically studied computer science, and while doing so, I already worked in research next to that as a student. Did some jobs, did my thesis there and stuff like that back in the bioinformatics, and there already got confronted with a lot of people who have to deal with scientific software or who develop scientific software without being computer scientists themselves. Which faced me with interesting challenges already as a student. But afterwards, I went to industry despite starting in research for my first job, and stayed there in a medium-sized software house where we did really classical software development, but it taught me like the processes, how it's done in industry, and we did really like Scrum and Kanban, this agile style, and I learned how it works in industry and what's important there. And with this knowledge, I went back to research, first to where I worked before, which was at Fraunhofer, another research center in Germany, focusing on bioinformatics was that one. And then I really started doing software engineering there because I got a bit annoyed about how software was developed there, that there was a lack of testing. And the teams were really focusing on getting something running and to perform the research, but it was not so much about proper software development and engineering. So it was important to some people, not to everybody, but I took this as my mission kind of, and instead of doing most of my research, I just started setting up processes and tools and stuff, and was really happy with this, and took all this experience I collected in industry, but also learned like what works in industry, because you have a bunch of computer scientists, and what doesn't work in research the same way, because you have scientists with a different focus. And after some time there, I switched to DLR, where I'm since 2013, and since 2014 I'm leading the group, and since last year deputy head of the department. And now I'm more consulting and helping and building communities and stuff like that than doing development myself. But I'm really happy with this, and I'm also part of the RSE community, the research software engineering community in Germany. I know in the US there's also one, and we are well connected. And so I'm spending my time with that.
Very good. So can you take just a moment and describe the kind of the structure of the team? And I think you have like a team of teams as well, right? You have more than one team that you work with. Can you describe a bit about that? And then maybe talk a bit about some of the challenges that you faced recently or foresee coming.
So currently I'm working, so my team, my sustainable software engineering team is, we're 6 people. And while we do some development ourselves, it's like internally for us or something. There's some smaller projects. We do this with additional students also. What we mainly do is we go and join in with other teams. So we call it mainly consulting, but it means we join up with them. And it really differs what we do. So sometimes it's just more about the process. So we teach them, we give trainings like how to use tools. We teach them processes, we adapt them to their needs, because we think the most important is that something fits to the need, and also like the way they like to work. So we don't go with standard solutions, but we always try to find something which matches this team best. And yeah, so we do this, and sometimes we also do feature development, but mainly we focus on setting everything up around software engineering, like the process and stuff like that. But we also have some projects where we take part in the development, and there's mainly then 2 people or something together on it, and work together with people from another research center or mainly another institute within DLR, and or even 2 institutes, and we work together on one big research software where again we bring in the knowledge about computer science, like software engineering, proper software development, and the others often bring the domain knowledge which we lack. Yes. And so this is what we do day to day. And the challenges which we face is mainly that a lot of people from the other teams, they are not software developers by trade, so they picked it up somehow, but so we have to teach them, we train them, we introduce tools and stuff like that. That's one of the, I don't know if you could call it challenge, it's like our main task. But the challenge is to get a routine in, to get them really used to doing this all the time, even if it gets stressful, even if there's a paper coming up and there's a feature which needs to be implemented, to stay on track. So like introducing this discipline and the routine is like one challenge. And the other challenge which we face constantly is that we're sitting distributed. So not only with Corona, where everybody's sitting at home, we already had previously the situation that we're sitting on 4 different locations within Germany. And often the teams we work in are again on other locations. So we have to deal with that. And in the past, it was a bigger problem than today, because in the past we had this hybrid version, like some people were sitting together at this one location and some people on another, and perhaps a single person on a third. And then you didn't have an equalness, because it was in discussions, it was hard together. If you're alone sitting somewhere else apart from everybody else, it's hard to get your voice heard. But now you said everybody's home, and everybody's sitting in front of their laptop, we have an equalness, which we really prefer. And so there's this one tiny thing which has got better during Corona. For us,
very interesting.
Which we didn't expect before, but so that was normally is one big challenge which we kind of solved, and we had quite some teams which were structured that way, which now became much more productive, and everybody is much better informed.
That's very interesting. A very interesting observation. Thank you. That's a great characterization of the work. And fascinating. I really like how your team is organized to assist other teams. And I love the attitude that you expressed, where you go in and adapt techniques and methodologies, tools, to meet their requirements. I've lived through in my career, which is pretty long now, periods of times where the tools and the approaches were imposed on us, and there wasn't a requirements gathering from us to find out what we needed or what could be most effective. So it's really nice to hear the approach that you use.
We had one team, for example, I mean, for some reason, scientists really, really love Excel. And so they started doing the issue tracking in that. And
in Excel.
Very so they had like one row
cool.
for every issue, everything they wanted to do. They highlighted it. They used like filtering because they had dates and stuff, like it's open or something. And at the beginning, I was like, don't you want to use an issue tracker? But oh no, I don't want to use a new tool. We know how to deal with this. This works for us. And I'm like, okay, all the information I need is in there. If you want to work with Excel, I'm fine, as long as you write down what you want to do and keep the status and stuff. And they even reference it in a way from their commit messages and stuff. So I'm not complaining, because you do what is necessary. And after some time, after like the first year we worked together, they were like, okay, this Excel sheet got a little bit messy. It's really huge and we filtered a lot of stuff out and it's hard to search in and stuff. So I came along and said, okay, here's the GitLab issue tracker. I'll do a half-hour presentation, demonstration. If you like it, we'll use it. If you don't. And then they were like, oh, this looks great. So I wrote a small script, imported everything from the Excel sheet into GitLab, and now they work with the GitLab issue tracker for the same task. And I think if I've started in the beginning and imposed like the issue tracker on them, they would have been confused. But after they realized what they need and what they don't need, they had a really easy switching over because they were already in the process and it was just a tool changing and not both things at once.
Very, very interesting to see how you separated the process, which is, the disciplined use of issue tracking, from the tool that was being used to support the team, and how you recognize that getting the process improved and integrated and regular pattern then allowed the team themselves to switch to a different tool. Very nice. I really like that. That's great.
It just means for us sometimes to take a step back because we don't love Excel, but here it's about the team who does most of the work and not us like using the tools we are most comfortable with, because we can adapt. For them, it's much harder. I mean, they can too, but it's harder, and we want to keep it simple, small steps. And then we'll see where it goes. And we also wrote the software engineering guidelines for DLR, and which can be used by everybody. So we publish them.
I've seen them. I've seen them.
They're on a small advertisement on rse.dlr.de if somebody's interested. There's a checklist. We translated it to English. If somebody finds translation errors, just message me. We're happy to improve. And they are all focusing regarding all the steps of software development about the process, so what needs to be done, and not about the tool. So internally, we have a slightly modified version where we suggest which tools we provide within DLR. So we say, okay, if you don't have something, you could use this tool, but we never say you have to. It's always, this is a suggestion, this is an offer. And I think this is really important, because as soon as you says you have to do something, if you really press it on somebody, the first reaction is like,
very good, very good. Oh, we've covered some really interesting topics. So along the lines of things you see going forward into the future, what are some of the, say, technical or cultural opportunities across the teams that you work with? Either in like technical approaches, are you seeing that specific approaches work better with the teams that you work with? Are there specific kind of team building or team improvement things that you see coming along?
So what we see in the future is that more and more research teams have to become software teams. They have to develop software, and it's the important factor as a culture is to, what I already said, to understand that for them, software development is a tool, and the goal is to do good research. And there's this nice slogan from the UK, which I think everybody adapted, like better software, better research. And so in general, it's important for me to really give them something at hand that they can improve their software on the software development skills. And what we learned in the past with our teams is when we included the whole team and invited them for trainings, for example, and we adapted that training a little bit on their specific use cases, they got really motivated. So it became important for us that it's not just about the development, it's also about the knowledge base which the team has, and to do these trainings together. And in these trainings, we let them also work as a team. So perhaps not, we have like a GitLab introduction training, like from software carpentry, is really, really similar. This one obviously is more like everybody's doing the live coding, but still afterwards they can ask each other questions and ask about it and use this together as one. So it's important to bring everybody on the same level. And also we have this more advanced trainings where we allow them to improve the quality of the software in small teams in the training. So we do some theory and then they do some practice work. And we learned that this improved highly how these teams work together, because they together had to figure out things and to acknowledge that they don't know about that yet, and they have to figure out how to solve this best. And it had kind of a team building exercise feeling sometimes when these people came together who are normally experts in their part and suddenly they were struggling on these, sometimes you would say, as a computer scientist, you would say tiny problems at the beginning, like building their first build script or writing a good documentation or something, like a good README, and they're struggling there together. What should go in and what not? And because they are suddenly all on a level, and it didn't matter if it was like the senior researcher, I would say, like, and a student, because suddenly roles changed, who knew more and stuff. And this was really something I liked. So I recommend teams who I'm working with to do trainings together and not split up over several possible training dates or something, but come together, do this together. And this can do something positively for the structure.
Oh yeah, that's excellent advice. Well, I feel like you've given us already some really nice principles, but let me ask you a last question, if I may, of suppose someone were stepping into a role similar to yours, in the kind of leadership role that you have. What would be the handful, 2 or 3 things that principles that you would give to them as advice, for making sure that they have a good long view and that they're, building something that is, powerful and is sustainable going forward?
So perhaps first thing is never underestimate the basics. Ensure that you get everything on the basics right. You will be surprised how many people can work around, even if a tool doesn't offer all this stuff. If they can understand it directly, instantly, easily, and they don't have to learn much, they will use it. You can have the perfect tool with all the features and they won't use it because it looks too complex on the first view. So it has to be easy to use at the beginning. That's the first thing we learned on a hard way. Second would be, don't try to cover everything. So working at DLR is really, really big. We are over 9,000 people, over 40 different institutions and facilities on more than 20 locations. So we can't cover everything. So try building small communities. So like a community of communities where people can help each other with whatever. I mean, it can be from how to manage a team, about tools. It can be picking the right tools. You can't be there for everybody. I mean, we're like 6 people. We can't be there for everybody, obviously.
Yeah.
And last but not least, in the end, you have to change the whole culture. So my tiny target is to get the community and the culture of science changed in a way that software becomes a valued output. So not only papers, but software itself. And this, so while not forgetting about the basics and creating communities, try to change the word you're working on, because this has to be the global target to enable all the other stuffs to become default. And I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, those are excellent final comments. Thank you very much. So thank you, Carina. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you for your contribution in this video to the workshop. Danke sehr.
Very good. You're welcome. Gern geschehen.